Report to Cloud. Okay, got it. Okay. So anyway, Yoko, just repeat, what's the name of your movie again?
A Strain of Fear.
Strain of Fear. So hopefully you guys can catch that one. So we're going to jump over to, actually we'll do Abigail. Let's hear about your project. Have a little intro. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So I'm Abigail. I'm the production supervisor. The director wanted to be here, but she's actually on set filming one of our other projects. She'll be here next week, though. Our project is called In Their Nature. It was also untitled Cabin for a very long time, so if I accidentally call it Cabin, that's why. But In Their Nature is a beautiful film about family drama and just the dynamic of a family and how that can bring people together or tear them apart. It was on location. We all got a crew and our cast, and we went to the same Airbnb. Last time we've ever stayed and filmed in the same location. Not our best idea ever. You'd move everything from one room to the next room, film, move everything back to the next room, film. But it was a lot of fun. It was my first full length.
Did you guys need to, I'm sorry for cutting you off. Did you guys need to get like permission from the like house owner for that?
We filmed in a couple Airbnbs, and every time we've had like explicit permissions and did some just basic contracts with them just to be safe.
So you guys like signing a contract or just like saying, hey, is it okay to like film it?
For that one, we just said, hey, is this cool? And we had it over, Airbnb has those chats back and forth. So it was on, it was written just in case anything would happen. But we try to do releases for everything. There's a local competition called Z-Fest up here that I'm in Minnesota, by the way, sorry. And they have a lot of paperwork, but it ends up being really helpful. So we've kind of tried to model after that in some ways. The more we can get actor releases, location releases, the better.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abigail. And just what's the premise? I know you said it was like getting along with relationships. Is it one family that's in the film?
Yes, one family follows three sisters, and the main conflict or the main issue is the middle sister and her husband, and there was some infidelity and some issues, and they're all up at their family cabin and trying to deal with that together, and everyone's got their own issues and everyone's imperfect in their own ways.
Oh, sounds cool. Thanks, Abigail. Let's hear about Michael Evans.
Hey there, guys. I'm also one of the Strain of Fear people. I don't know where Yoko and Sean are in relation to me for everybody else, but he's over there and he's down there. I helped Yoko write it, and I am the disembodied voice on the phone in the film. So I get a little cameo.
Cool. We got the whole film crew here, huh? Who else worked? So it was Sean and Michael and Yoko.
Yeah, that's the three of us. The main three kind of like worked on this film. Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, Wyatt.
Hey.
I have a feeling your project's going to be super interesting, so I can't wait to hear.
Well, thank you. My project is The Runaway. It's a project that I worked on while I was still in college.
Where did you go to college?
Chapman University down in Southern California in Orange. I'm still in California right now. Yeah, this project is something that I really wanted to do. Go like really challenge myself, especially in school, because they put a lot of pressure on you in school. And producibility is a big word there. But I really wanted to challenge both the system and myself and try to do a period piece and fully realize that as much as I could. So I shot for that 30s era, Depression era, on a train in the dead of winter. And we more or less pulled it off. And so the film is about a kid, Carson, who hops a freight train as a hobo, as a vagrant in the Great Depression. He's lost everything at home. He doesn't have a future, really. And he's trying to find something out there that just a better life. And what he ends up finding instead is a friend in the conductor who almost chases him off the train, but they find a common ground and decide to help each other through these hard times.
I love that you chose to do that in the 1930s. That must have posed a lot of difficulty when you were filming, like trying to make it look authentically from the 1930s.
A lot, but really once the research was done, once I had figured out like, okay, this is the date that something like this would happen, and I had a kind of a vision and an idea of what I wanted everything to look like and what the world would be like then. Actually, I got super lucky and I reached out to a train museum it was not too far away from me, and they had restored a 1929 Santa Fe caboose, like completely, like it was immaculate pretty much. And so we had to dirty it up a little bit to make it look like the 30s, but it was period accurate to exactly what they would have had back then. And from there it was, I mean, getting the actors on such a authentic set, well, it's not even a set, it's literally what was there, what they would have been on. They just took it from there.
Wow.
I have a question. What kind of camera did you guys use to shoot this movie?
We shot on an A7S II,
Okay.
and we put that on a gimbal. I think it was a Ronin S. And my DP Drew Gardella, I really worked with him to dial in kind of what the look of the film was going to be. Rather desaturated, very cold outside, very kind of warmer inside, and really having a smaller camera like that really allowed us to get in on the characters and in this, because it was already a very small space, and
yeah,
yeah,
I really like that. I really like that how you guys use like camera in such a small place.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so let's hear. Hi, Charity. How are you? Let's hear about your project.
So
All right, so
before
I'm actually
that,
here.
Hold on, Nico.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's
want to
okay.
let everybody know Charity is an award winner, New York State International Film Festival last year.
Yep. And this year I'm actually here representing two of our films that got in. One is Static. That was directed by Kyle Klieg, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. He's working. And the second one was the film that I directed called On the Line. I guess I'll start with Static. Static was a short film based on the premise of a woman who goes through a trauma of losing her partner, and she goes through the trauma, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it takes a turn. It certainly does. And in my movie, or my short film, follows a classroom full of kids. This was actually before the pandemic. It's kind of funny that it's following kids in school that get caught in a time loop, and how it quickly devolves from there. So, yep.
They're both great experimental movies. If
Yes.
you guys haven't watched, just take a look. Don't miss those movies, guys.
Okay, so Danny, let's hear about your project.
Yeah, it's called the excuse me, the Telltale Heart Musicale. It's a musical adaptation of the Edgar Allan Poe classic story. I compose the music, and I also play the narrator, or the protagonist of the story, who and we do a lot of fourth wall breaking. He directs his narration to an invisible audience that includes the audience that is watching the film. And we also shot in black and white. When he narrates a story, you see what he thinks he is telling you. And it's shot like an old-fashioned 1930s or 1920s horror film of that era. So very desaturated, very high contrast. I mean, very high contrast black and white. It adapts Edgar Allan Poe's text practically word for word. Every word that's in the original story, you either hear spoken or sung. Like I said, it's a musical adaptation. One man, three cellos, and the cellos become integral part of the storytelling. So you don't just hear them, you also see them in particular ways that are part of the story.
Yeah, I still have to. I really, I can't wait to see that one either. We heard about it the first Q&A, and I still have to go see that. So I'm gonna definitely, I gotta see that.
It's very unique.
I love strings.
I
grew up with
never
strings.
seen any like experimental movies like that.
Oh.
It's a very unique project.
Yeah.
Thank you. We tried very hard it was originally done as a stage piece, and as a stage piece, it was just one performer and the 3 cellists surrounding me. There was no set, there was no particular, except for a little bit of lighting effects. It was very spare. So it was about the audience sort of imagining where might he be? Why is he telling the story? And when we decided to make a film of it, I had to I couldn't be as spare visually. I had to be more specific and give more concrete visuals, but I also still wanted to let the audience have a sense of where is he and what is really happening and what is, so I leave some things up for the audience to figure out. It's not, a lot of people do the telltale heart and they set it in a very realistic setting, and I don't. After a while, you realize he's in a space that doesn't make natural sense. There's something weird going on, and hopefully that adds to the suspense or the interest of the film cinematically.
Thanks,
Was that
Dan.
vague enough?
And look at, he's got a second one coming too. He's gonna make it. I told him he's gonna make a series.
Yeah, I'm in pre-production right now for another musicale, another adaptation of Poe, The Pit and the Pendulum. And this one is being written directly as a film, so it allows me to do things musically and visually that are unique, as well as links to the first film, because it'll be me again, and it'll be 3 cellos again, and a piano. Woo! But yeah, I can do things with sound and the music that I didn't have in the original, because it was originally done as a stage piece. And here I can use the magic of film and editing and layering of sound and visuals that you could not do on stage. So that'll make it very unique, I hope, and different. And it's going to be less funny, I think, because it's just a darker story. There's less irony, less lines that sort of lend themselves to a humorous approach. It's just a darker story, and so, which is really fun to contemplate in these days. Actually, I'm being ironic now. It's actually pretty depressing to go there while we're in this dark place in our world as we speak. It's very much a reflection of feeling stuck in a torture chamber.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hear from Jasmine. I love your place. Just looks like it just screams artist.
Hi.
Keyboards in the back, piles of books.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jasmine Dream Wagner. So my film is a short experimental film called 5 Elizabeths. It is a bit of a moving painting or a visual score for 6 musicians. I started working on it. I had the opportunity to stay on an island in the Long Island Sound for 6 weeks at the end of last year, and I had been meditating on 2 different stories, family stories, and I wanted to make an art piece, somehow incorporating the 2, based on a family legend. And the family legend of the 5 Elizabeths, my grandfather's grandfather emigrated from Norway to Manitoba to become involved in the fur trade. And as the story is passed down through my family, he had 5 wives. And on their wedding day, he renamed each of them Elizabeth. And the Elizabeths have all disappeared from record. So I have a family tree that's been drawn out and handed down. But we don't have records of the Elizabeth's original names, and we don't have birth certificates for all of them. So there's a certain piece of this family history that's missing, and I had been thinking a lot about it and mulling on it, while also thinking about a story set about my mother, who grew up on an island in the Detroit River. And I happened to be on an island in the winter, and I was thinking a lot about my mother learning to dance on an island, and kind of merged the two into this very experimental, movement-based embodied performance that's really meant to be experienced like I said, like a composition or a moving painting. So I was able to bring the 6 musicians out with me, and we did a live workshop, and then we recorded the score at the Bard Conservatory of Music, just wrapped it in February, just before the pandemic started closing in, and have mixed it and mastered it. So it's all very new. And yeah, that's the gist of the piece that I'm showing at the festival.
No, that sounds like it's a very personal project, and you know, looking up your history and making those connections, and I'm sure it was very moving for you just to go through that project just for yourself, and then to share it, you know, with the world. Are you a dancer?
You know, I'm not a dancer, and one of the reasons why it was important to me to incorporate movement into this piece is that I actually hadn't worked with movement before. I'm a musician and I'm a poet, and I had been thinking about ways that I had reserved movement and I put it in this forbidden box. My mother was a dancer when she was young, and her favorite teacher died of polio, and she was very traumatized by that and couldn't dance. And so growing up, dance was always very important to us, and we would go see the ballet, and she loves dance and moves beautifully, but she was not able to pursue that because she was traumatized. And so I was thinking about ways that I have certain kinds of art forms that always felt permissible, and certain things that you just don't go there. And so I wanted to press myself and push myself into thinking about movement or thinking about language. And I also had the opportunity to film in a very beautiful place where there were no people, and I wanted to take advantage of that because it was the only time I'd be able to create moving images on this insane geological, I don't know, just a beautiful place. So I filmed every day, and I found a new rock or a new place to go, and found a way to frame it and to move on it, and approach that as a daily practice, the way that I would approach writing a poem, which is I would approach a piece of writing every day. You chip away at it, or I build things in pieces and they accrue. So that was some of my thought process going on, and the editorial process was similar. So I filmed it. I have a Canon 5D, and I also edited it in Premiere. And when I was working with the 6 musicians, and then we had 2 other musicians that came on with harp and flute, we recorded in the studio on Pro Tools. So it was collaborative, and I hope that they'll be able to join on the 7th for the next talk.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Is this the first film you've made?
It is, yeah. Well, I made one experimental video that was screened at the Poetry Project in New York City, and it was, I was narrating a piece that I wrote that I published in a book, and I had 2 musicians, 2 guitarists who have very, very different styles, interpreted the poem as a score. And so we did a performance where they performed and I read, and then we made a film together. And it's we used some reclaimed equipment that had been broken, because the poem was really about, it's called After the Air Force, and I had been thinking about some abandoned military sites that I had spent time in doing another project.
Nico,
Where is that place?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm sorry. Where is that place where you guys shoot the movie?
So it's on an island called Fisher's Island, which is it's in the Long Island Sound. You can get there by a ferry from New London. And there's 2 sites where I filmed on the rocks. One is a naval base, and it's still operational, though it's automated. There aren't people living on the base the way that they did in World War I, World War II. So it was the military base, the fort there.
Did you know that place before you got the movie idea? Or like
Um,
after you got like movie idea, then you're like looking for the places? How'd you figure it out?
I always knew, well, I had been there once before a long time ago, and so I did know that the island existed, and I applied for the artist residency on the island specifically to work on a project, but the project hadn't been defined. And I really, the residency was 6 weeks long, and I spent probably the first 3 weeks walking and knowing that I had an idea of a feeling. So it was more of a feeling than it was a narrative. I had 2 stories about my family that I wanted to be thinking about while evoking imagery, evoking sound, and evoking an emotional presence that I really wanted to put into the camera and the movement. So did I have a clear idea? It's not the way that when you're working in narrative filmmaking, everything is planned.
Yeah.
It was experimental and absolutely made in the moment, edited together, pieced together. The images were approached as the score. And so when I was working with the musicians, and we, it was the end of last November, we did a workshop performance at the residency. It was open to the public. And so we screened a first cut that I did very quickly overnight. And they improvised as I spoke. And so then we took that later. We took it to Malay Colony and spent lots of time together and actually worked out the score. And the score is written, it's a pictorial score on a giant sheet of paper that rolls out all around a room. And so we worked together, and I was doing new cuts of the film as it evolved too. So I'd have first cut and then I'd change it, and then we'd talk about what it sounded like in certain places and what should happen when I move this way, or what happens when there's boats in the background, or so it was very collaborative, scoring it and kind of moving towards the final capture of it. And we had actually had several performances booked this summer where they were going to do a live performance to the moving images in venues, but since COVID, we've had to postpone those kinds of ideas.
It's a great place. Like, I feel like I can make any kind of movie or even music video in that place. Such
you've been there?
Yeah. No, I've never been there, but that's what I was asking. Like, I feel like I can shoot any kind of movies over there.
Yeah.
It's a great place to shoot any kind of movie. Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe for my next project.
Yeah.
You should go.
And what was the island in Detroit? You said there was an island.
She grew up on an island called Grosse Ile. It's Grossseile, and it's a very small island in the Detroit River. That there was an Air Force base there. I don't know if it's active anymore. And it's just one small toll bridge over from the city.
Oh, that's really cool. All right, Kevin, we have mutual friends. We both follow the same paths.
It is a small world.
Teachers, and we were actors. I never did voices like you do, though.
Yeah, okay.
So what project do you have, Kevin?
Well, Patty, oh, she's this way, on my screen at least. Patty is the official rep of the film for this festival. So I'll let her have her due, because if not, she might hurt me if you've seen the film.
I was going to hand it off to you since you weren't there at the other Q&A, but I will take the lead, Kevin. Kevin Kolek and I and Patricia High, we are the lead actors in Waimea, directed by Steve Harold. He is on location right now. He would love to be here to join us, but we are representing the film. And it's a 10-minute comedy short. Kevin, please chime in if I forget anything. But basically, it's a married couple being given the biggest challenge of their marriage, and pretty much
hilarity ensues.
Hilarity ensues.
Hence the comedy.
Comedy, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So Kevin, how was this? Are you married in real life, or was this a stretch for you? Did it did it hit some similar tones in your own life?
No pun intended. I am married in real life. It's my 15th anniversary this year.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Oh, yeah. Actually, this month, now that it's October, it's party month. My birthday, my son's birthday, and our anniversary are all in 1 week in late October. So no, my wife is a lot more gentle. Well, not a lot more, but somewhat more gentle when we have arguments than Patty was in this film.
Without giving away too much, right?
I don't know if I want to give away too much because Steve was trying not to when he developed the trailer. He's just a genius at promotion stuff. But I will say that Steve's initial concept for the film was a live action Tom and Jerry with me being Tom. So that explains a lot, because the first time he gave me the script, he didn't tell me that. And it's the first of his scripts that I've read that I didn't get. And then he said, oh, but it's a live action Tom and Jerry. And then I said, oh, now I get it, because his storyboards are brilliant, but he didn't show those to me because they weren't done yet when he gave me the script. We go way back. We've worked together for 20 years, and his scripts are really, really, really tight whenever he's finally willing to show them to somebody. And this was the first one that I had to say to him, I just don't get it, until he said that, and then it made sense.
It was good to see you, Kevin.
Thank you.
We both worked for Peter Sklar years ago.
Oh, did you? Oh, we'll have to chit chat.
I know, right? We'll talk later.
Yeah.
So let's take a look who we didn't hear from yet. Masa, or is it, am I saying it right? Mesa? Okay. I like your background.
Yep, it's thank you, my fantasy background. Yeah, Masa. I am one half of the team representing the film Here You Are You Here at this festival. Unfortunately, my partner couldn't be here. She is out somewhere in the upstate New York wilderness right now trying to camp. Hopefully she's succeeding right now. I haven't heard from her, but this short was shot a little over a year ago during the summer, when we took a vacation to Iceland to meet some friends there, and just about 3 weeks before we left, we got the harebrained scheme to shoot something while we were there, as a way to instead of getting vacation photos, we decided we would shoot a film. And so that's what we did. We shot it on Abby, my partner's phone, a Google Pixel. And it's, I would say, quasi-experimental. And some of it was sort of pre-scripted in terms of a very, very loose storyline, but a lot of it was left open-ended so that we could just gallivant around the country and see what we got, and then piece it together afterwards.
So where did you go in your travels?
Kind of all over Iceland. I had been there a few times because I have friends there, so I had some spots in mind ahead of time that I wanted to try to capture, but I wanted to find some new places also. And yeah, and it was just an adventure. We chased some of the good weather. So the first day we found out that it was going to be amazing weather in the West Fjords for the first 3 days we were there. So we borrowed a car and made a beeline for the West Fjords. It was almost at the longest day of the year, point of the solstice. So we generally had about 11 hours of daylight to shoot, which was a blessing and a curse, because it meant that we could keep shooting and shooting and shooting and not realize that we had just blown right through dinner time, and then all the restaurants were closed. But we had a good time.
You guys didn't plan to shoot the movie when you traveled there?
So
Okay.
we originally booked the tickets first So my partner is, she works as a freelancer. She's a set designer, production designer, and she had been slated to work on a movie that got canceled because the lead actor got pregnant. And I'm not at liberty to say what movie or which actor, but it meant she was unemployed for the whole summer, which was unplanned. So we thought we would take advantage and just take a vacation. And then, like I said, just like 3 weeks before, we added this extra layer of let's shoot a film while we're there. So we threw together a very, very loose script and bought a couple of extra accessories to make her phone a little more powerful as a camera, and roped some of our Icelandic friends into helping us find locations. So sometimes we would, like, something in the script might say, you know, there's a waterfall, but we didn't have a specific waterfall in mind. So one day we took like an all-day hike waterfall hunting for the perfect waterfall location until we finally found it and shot like 30 seconds worth of footage that made it into the film. So it was a lot of that kind of thing.
Is this like first time you use a like smartphone to shoot a movie?
Yes, it's actually the first time either of us has directly camera operated. I've directed a bunch of films in the past and worked with DPs, but never directly operated a camera myself. So we thought this would be a good way, a good stepping stone into using a real camera. And it was a great education. We kind of did a crash course in the 2 weeks before. This was last summer, so pre-COVID, obviously. We went out and just learned how to use the camera and, you know, all the different exposure settings. We had bought a gimbal to put the camera on, so got good at walking backwards with the gimbal. We went to the park and practiced running alongside each other. It was just the two of us, so she was.
What about
the
lenses?
camera operator.
Did you guys have any
lenses? Yes, yeah. So I don't know if you've heard of Moment. It's a company that makes lenses that fit to smartphones. So we bought 2 lenses to fit to her phone.
No, I have a iPhone. I got like a few lenses, but I don't remember the brand. But I don't think it's Moment.
Yeah, I think there are a few brands out there, but this is what we ended up settling on.
That's like smartphones are incredible right now. Like you wouldn't even notice this shoot with the smartphone. Like we don't really need DSLR or another like camera anymore.
They have, there's a lot of festivals that like, I've worked on that they actually have a category for films shot on mobile phones.
Yeah.
The whole category now.
They even have a festival like shoot an iPhone.
Yeah,
we have
sure.
movies every year shoot with the smartphone. It's incredible.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. This is so scenic. Like all the shots you took are probably just beautiful. Like the cinematography of it. I want to see it just for that. To see where you've been.
Yeah, well, it's definitely true that we knew, because I'd been there before, and I knew that you just get so much production value for free everywhere you go there. So we definitely wanted to take advantage of that, for sure.
Yeah. All right, Bill, been waiting patiently. We saved the best for last.
Well, thank you. So there's so much to talk about here. Yes, Nico and Masa. Masa, what's the name of your film again?
It's kind of a convoluted name. It's called Here You Are You Here.
I saw it. Yeah, I didn't see it, but I saw the title. So I just want to watch that. And in terms of shooting with an iPhone or a smartphone, I've actually done some commercial projects with it using Moment lenses and a gimbal, and it's and of course Soderbergh shoots. He shot like I think 1 or 2 features now with an iPhone. He puts a ton of stuff on it. The thing is, if you have enough lighting and a proper crew, you know, and everything's done correctly with a full crew, then, you know, yeah, you can do it with a phone. If it's like a one-man band, you know, you got to really pay attention to make it look good. And of course, you know, you've got things like Filmic Pro, and there's some other apps that you can use on the phone, which are pretty cool. And going over to Danny, is Danny still here? Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed. I have to say, I haven't watched all the films, but I've watched a few of them, and I really enjoyed Danny's just because, and from the sounds of things, Jasmine, wherever you may be. Oh, there you are. You know, I haven't seen Jasmine's, but I saw Danny's, and I remember thinking, well, this is really fascinating. You know, casting music as a central or a main character. You know, in the film, I think that's it's nice. It's you know, it's definitely different. But I kind of dug that. So. And then somebody else said about shooting in cars. Who was that? Oh, yes.
Sean and Yoko, yeah.
Yoko, yeah. So if you see my movie's called The Road, and it takes place mostly with me driving a car. And it was, I had never, I'm a director by trade, but I had never really shot anything inside a car, either directed or shot. And you know, I immediately realized, and I'm sure you can appreciate this, that particularly during daytime, you've got daylight outside, and then you've got serious shadow inside the car by contrast. And so, you know, I had what's called a 1x1 LED flex light jammed into my dashboard, so it was coming at me at daylight balance. And then we had like secret little LEDs placed all over the dashboard that you couldn't see. Again, during the day, to balance me so the outside wasn't completely washed out. That was a learning experience. It was kind of cool. And then we also experimented with, you know, do we want, like, the guy that was shooting me usually was like in the passenger seat, and he was just like this. And you know, we tried like with a camera mount on the hood and a camera mount on the side of the car. Basically we shot with C300s, and we came away thinking, well, you know, David, the DP he was pretty comfortable just hand holding this thing, and it worked out pretty well, I think.
Bill, you have to share your story about what this project is about and how it came to be.
And we're segueing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sam. Yeah, I'm segueing very nicely into this because because you know, the last thought that I've had recently, and just, you know, bear with me, is that I've got another film in mind that I'm getting into, and it's much more. Okay, I'll do this backwards or forwards. My film was based on my own experiences as a Lyft and Uber driver when I couldn't get any work because I was in a town that didn't offer that kind of work. And but what it did offer was a lot of drunken, self-entitled college kids, particularly on the weekends. We call it day drinking. And I drove them, and I wanted to shoot myself at the end of any given day because I don't think I made more than $100 on any given day. And they were complete idiots. And I don't suffer fools very well. So anyway, I made this film about my experience as a Lyft and Uber driver, and it's called The Road, A Driver's Diary. And I did a few pickups. We shot most of it in Las Vegas with a production company that I'm repped by partially. And then I did a pickup myself. I shot a pickup in San Diego and another pickup in Brooklyn, in Bushwick. There's a scene where I'm in this ratty sort of hotel that we paid $50 for on the Vegas Strip, and I'm wearing brief underwear, red, white, and blue, stars and stripes, with a T-shirt, and it opens with you know, Lyft gave me a glow stash, which was like their pink mustache that would glow, and you could and you'd put it on the dashboard of your car, except I was using it as a nightlight. So there's this scene where the glow stash is on the bathroom wall and I'm taking a leak. And I'm speaking to camera and I'm saying, yeah, Lift, they even gave me a glow stash. It works great. And then I bend over and I flush the toilet and then I walk out of the room into this crappy bedroom that we rented in Las Vegas. The interesting thing was that I shot that bathroom all by myself. I was in an apartment by myself. I had my camera, clamped onto the door with lighting as I set it, and the monitor facing me. And I did my line, I got that, and then when I'm coming and I lit it, I matched the lighting and everything to the scene we shot in Vegas. So you really have the impression. I was pretty proud of myself technically. You really have the impression. I'm in this bathroom, I'm talking to camera, and then I walk out. Except reality was I shot the interior of the bathroom in Bushwick, and the exterior as I was coming out into this ratty hotel room in Las Vegas. Small detail. Anyway, all that said, I wrote this thing and produced it and everything. It was easy because I had all these experiences driving in this car. The weekend vomiters, just the dread that you have to go through to be like, a poor Uber and Lyft driver. And it was all based on personal experience. And most of the situations that were portrayed in the film were based on experiences that I had. So it was it almost wrote itself. I just kind of had to put things in order and then make it entertaining, which I hope I did. But now I'm like chasing down this other movie, and I've got some vague ideas, but it's like some of you already have done. It's a pure narrative, and it's not based on any experience that I've had. I want a boy to meet a girl, or a girl to meet a boy, or something like that, and then I want other things to be pronounced. There's a large commentary on the superficiality of culture in which we live currently, including social media, but I don't want it to be Black Mirror. My 18-year-old son says to me often, just to annoy me, whenever I say anything, usually it's political, he'll say, "Not cool, Kanye." And my knee-jerk response is, Kanye's a fucking jackass. But I digress. I kind of want to just speak to the stupidity of the culture we live in right now, and I'm having an immense amount of trouble coming up with sort of a plot, and I know it's important to have, like, beginning, middle, and end, and a really killer ending. And I guess my question to you guys is, have you been successful in creating something out of nothing, rather than referencing your own personal experiences? That's my question, and I'm checking out now. Okay, I've wandered, I've spoken, I'm done.
What do you guys think? Something out of nothing. I mean, like, trying to think of, and it just takes a long time, I feel like. It always starts with some kind of idea, which you have, but then getting it down and creating the story is always a challenge, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at any of the big feature films, When Harry Met Sally, or I'm running blank right now, but there are these fascinating stories, and I'm wondering, well, did this stuff come out of somebody's personal experience, or I'm inclined to think that some experienced screenwriter sat down and just started coming up with stuff and banging it out and switching it around and making it happen. With Pulp Fiction, who experienced that, right? Probably no one. Or maybe they did, I don't know.
I know within their nature, it was created specifically for the 3 redheaded actresses we had worked with before. My director sat down one day, and she's the writer as well. She's like, I really like these 3 girls. They look like they could be sisters. I'm going to write a movie about them. We all said, okay, have fun with that. And then she wrote a beautiful movie about it.
Okay,
That was the only information. Nothing else in it came from any of our lives.
yeah, see, I find that, highly respectable. I mean, I'm having a little trouble doing that right now myself. And I've got some loose ideas floating around, but nothing too concrete, and it keeps me up at night.
Well, you can be like Mesa and just carry a camera and just start filming stuff.
I've actually done that for quite a while, and in fact, if I ever slow down, I'm gonna start, offering my footage as stock footage, because I've got all kinds of footage that is usable, but I've never done anything with it. So
yeah, we'll see. So guys, what I'd like you to do now, I'm gonna make a copy of the chat and just send it out to everybody who came tonight. So if you guys could just type in the name of your film and the email that you would like people to contact you at, just type that in the chat. I'll make a copy and I'll send it out to people. Nico, you have everybody's email addresses, right? I could probably just get it from the chat. So if you type it in the chat, I'll just write it down. And then I'll send it out to everybody so that you have everyone's contact information. And if you have any questions about anyone's projects, or you guys want to work together at some point, you can get a hold of each other. This is the best part of being in a film festival, is the people that you meet and the people that, you form projects with.
Yeah, especially most of the filmmakers are in New York.
I'm actually typing my information. I hope everybody else does. Give us a little time just to get it all in there.
I'm gonna wait till I'll wait till the end to print it anyway.
God bless you.
So did you say that you'll print it for us and send it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna print it and send it to everybody. So you guys will have a copy of the chat.
There you go. Yeah, I was watching. I watched a handful of films. Some I liked, some not so much. But I didn't immediately connect some of the faces that we've previously. I noticed Danny's right away because of the cellos, which was I thought pretty cool. But I didn't. I wanted to know, okay, who's the person that made this? For the things I really liked, I wanted to know who it was. Except for, looking at the tail credit, I couldn't completely, that was the only way I knew. So it'd be great to have a list.
Yeah. I'm typing mine in there too.
Shout out to the Oxford comma.
Oh yeah. Nice, Abigail.
Yeah, it's the name of a production company, so.
All right. So does anyone else have any questions, comments to each other about their projects?
What's going to happen in the next, Zoom meeting?
We're going to discuss the movies again, talk about, then we're going to announce the best movies as each genre. We have best drama, best documentary, best animation, best music video, best experimental, best horror movies.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, we're going to announce in the next meeting, October 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern.
All right, guys. So I think that will be it for tonight. So we will see you guys at the next one, hopefully. And I got to catch up on all these films now. So I know who wins the awards, and I can say that I see them for the next Zoom meeting. So thanks. It was so nice to meet all of you. I really just love films and film people, and you guys put so much work into this, and I know they all become a passion project, and we're really grateful that you wanted to share them with us at the New York State International Film Festival. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Have a good night. Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
very
everybody.
much.
Nice to meet you guys.
You too.
Thank you.